In the dead of night, America showed President Maduro the exit. Airstrikes lighting up the sky across Caracas as US helicopters were seen circling above. America knows all about shock and awe in oil-rich countries, and today some videos from residents appear to show missiles raining down into the capital, targeting military installations.
Around an hour and a half ago, we felt planes flying and explosions, several explosions, at least 8 or 10. And when I went out to look around, all I could see was smoke.
People stirred from their beds to watch events which many may have dreamt about, but barely dared to believe would happen. Nicolas Maduro and his wife reportedly taken into US custody by a small contingent of American Delta Force in a daring overnight raid. After weeks of military build-up involving a massive US armada, pressure had been mounting on the Venezuelan leader, who had refused to stand aside. President Trump, speaking on Fox News, confirmed Nicolas Maduro, along with his wife Cilia Flores, were captured and flown out of the country.
He was in a house that was more like a fortress than a house. It had steel doors, and I watched it literally like I was watching a television show. It was an amazing thing, an amazing job that these people did. Nobody else could have done anything like it.
Today, Venezuelan tanks were seen on the streets. The state television showed a statement from the Defense Ministry denouncing the grave international aggression perpetrated by the United States. This afternoon, Attorney General Pam Bondi confirmed Maduro and his wife had been indicted in the Southern District of New York, adding they will soon face the full wrath of American justice on American soil in American courts.
A huge potential Pandora's box of civil conflict, regime uncertainty, and even the potential for what the U.S. military engagement will be, whether diplomatic, economic, or military, in the forward, because they've effectively created a power vacuum in Venezuela with the removal of Nicolas Maduro.
Hopes of freedom remain fragile, though. It's unclear if this decapitation strategy will mean the collapse of the wider regime, which has repressed Venezuela for so long.
Dan, the US has been building up forces for this operation for weeks, but many seem to think it was only to put pressure on Maduro.
Yeah, I mean, they have assembled, the largest armada ever seen in Latin America. But I think what's remarkable about this, it was only a couple of hundred Delta Force that actually went in on the ground and managed to get out without any US fatalities, we're told. President Trump did say that there had been a couple of injuries, and we're waiting for him to speak any minute now about the status of those troops who were injured. One former ambassador to Venezuela I've been speaking to this morning said was positing the obvious question, what on earth happens next? Potentially you've got a very destabilizing mix. You've got Colombian guerrilla groups in some parts of the country. You've got what remains of the regime, which is intact apart from Nicolas Maduro and his wife, still there. And then, of course, you've got the opposition as well, who'll be keen to capitalize on this moment. The winner of the last election is in Spain, Edmundo Rodriguez. And we've also heard from the Nobel Peace Laureate, Corina Maria Machado, who's put out a statement saying that this is the hour of freedom that has arrived, calling on people in the country to be ready, and calling on people outside of Venezuela to be ready to mobilize as well. One contact I spoke to in Caracas this morning described uncanny sort of calm, really. Phones and electricity all working, but a lot of troops on the streets, some of whom had been deployed so hastily they hadn't even had time to put their uniforms on.
Dan, thank you. Well, here, the Prime Minister has reacted to the American action. Our political correspondent, Lucy McDade, is in Downing Street. And Lucy, what has Sir Keir had to say?
Well, it's what he hasn't said, actually, that's prompted the biggest political reaction here. Keir Starmer hasn't condemned the actions of President Trump, despite already facing quite a bit of political pressure from other parties and some of his own MPs to do so. What Keir Starmer has said is that the UK had absolutely no involvement, and I understand that that also means Keir Starmer had no prior knowledge of the operation. He now says his next steps are to speak to President Trump on the phone and establish the facts. But remember, this is a Prime Minister that's walking a very delicate diplomatic tightrope, and in his response today probably went as far as he felt he could.
I will want to talk to the President, I will want to talk to allies, but at the moment I think we need to establish the facts. I always say and believe we should all uphold international law, but I think at this stage, fast-moving situation, let's establish the facts and take it from there.
Parties like the Liberal Democrats, the Greens, they're weighing in, calling on Keir Starmer to be more vocally critical of Donald Trump, whereas just recently the Conservatives, Reform as well, they seem broadly more supportive. Nigel Farage, the Reform leader, even said today, while he believes the actions are illegal, if they make Russia and China think twice, they might be a good thing. The Foreign Office has updated its advice. It's advising people not to travel to Venezuela, and we understand about 500 Brits are there at the moment and are being supported.
Lucy, thank you. Well, our international editor, Emma Murphy, joins me now. Emma, this is quite a departure from the norm, isn't it? Foreign presidents are not normally grabbed from their own homes, are they?
Indeed, and let's describe this exactly as it is. This is illegal. It is illegal under international law to forcibly depose a sitting president. And President Trump, for whatever reason he's chosen to do this, and that is being debated by lots of people, has not sought the approval of the United Nations. He has not acted in direct self-defense as a last resort of the United States, and he hasn't passed it by Congress. So this is a completely unilateral action on his part. And I think it is the kind of action that will send real shockwaves through the international community, those who believe in the rules-based orders, and also those who are beyond the positions of support for America, because you have, you heard Keir Starmer there talking about international law. Well, this is a breach of it. But if you are in a capital city where you are not as closely related to the United States, you'll be looking at it going, goodness me, I hope nobody breaks through my door when I'm sleeping this evening to just lift me out. And you have to question what would happen if there was an attempt to seize President Zelensky, if there was an attempt to seize President Lai in Taiwan. That is not something that many Western powers would allow to go without note. We've already seen similar attempts that have been condemned. So it is an incredibly difficult tightrope walk for many of these politicians. And I think it shows the end of a really global rules-based order, and the fact that now sovereignty, as well as internal stability, as well as international law, is incredibly conditional based on one particular leader's judgment of it.